Hey, hey, hey! Turn that music down. And good morning, everybody. Happy Wait, what's the day? Today's Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't know. It must be hump day. I don't even know. Why don't I know what day it is? That's silly. Anyway, hi, everybody. Welcome to the show on this beautiful second day of August 2023. Obviously, there's only one thing in the news that we're going to talk about. Well, I mean, sort of. I mean, there's a lot of things trending, but most of them have to do with what we're going to talk about today. So that's what we're going to do. Happy Indictment Day, or yesterday, or whatever it was. And, some people are so happy, and some people were like, you're an idiot. Not, well, that guy over there, Jack. But we'll see. We're going to see how this goes. It plays out. There's so many things, so many hot takes, so many things to think about when we're talking about this. So we're going to do that right after I play the intro. Wait, Johnny, stop. Oh, you already did it. Never mind. Hey, Johnny, play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yep, that would be me. Stop the music. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where we are going to talk about Christmas for the Democrats, because indictment number 3, probably not even the last one. They're still talking about that crap down in Georgia, and who knows what they're going to do. It's full court press. They do not want the funny-haired one to be president again. So they got it all timed out. They could have done this. I mean, really, if they wanted to do this, they could have done this 2 years ago, or maybe even last year, and had it all done by now. But this is such better timing. Plus, they could roll it out in stages every time something goes bad for the current president. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some trending stuff. We'll talk about whatever y'all are talking about in the chat as much as I can, as much as I watch the chat. And then it'll be fine. And then we'll be all good and dandy. I still can't figure out why the StreamYard's not working. It is, but it's not StreamYard, Streamlabs. Anyway, let's say hi to you in the chat, because it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day, my neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? So, first the chat over on Rumble. Hurricane Francie gets the bell. Somebody beat AD? I'll be damned. Also, good morning, Next Gen Troll. Good morning, also, Avocados Diabli. Fine, sir. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg, and the other 10 or 11 people who watch. Oh, and Jimmy Das Hotep. How did I miss Jimmy Das Hotep? Goodness gracious. Thank you for being here. Glad you're here on Rumble. By the way, if you are watching me on YouTube, make sure you also check me out on Rumble, or at least subscribe over there, just in case the YouTube peoples that be decide to make me not be. Okay? Make sure you got me going over there. All right, now what's going on with this CloudBot thing? I see the one that says share the stream. Okay, that's that one. And I see the one that says join the P-Dog Knight Discord. That's that one. I'm not sure what's going on here. 4 minutes. That's supposed to be 17. Okay, 17 minutes in. I see that one. I don't know why these aren't working. I'm just going to turn them off, and I'm going to turn it on. Then I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to turn it on. Because you should be able to get the links, too. I'm going to turn them all off, and I'm going to turn them all back on, see if they start clicking. We'll see what happens here. All right. We have our first sponsor today, Natasha Kayleen. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for sponsoring the show. who says, P-Dog, what is that ocean in the intro? Oh, that was when Lady Boomer and I went to, it's Oceanside, California, just north of San Diego, when Lady Boomer and I were there in February for our 30th anniversary. And we were hanging out. We went out on the pier and watched the ocean and stuff. I'm about to change that with them. I've had that standby video on for quite a long time. It's time for me to update it. So, but you did. I'm glad you got to see it. It's the Pacific Ocean. It is the Pacific Ocean. We had a wonderful time when we were out there, even though it was cool because it was technically winter. I mean, San Diego doesn't actually get cold, but it does get cool, and we had a great time when we were out there. So anyway, on YouTube, first to chat is Fake News Expert. Thank you for being here. Also, good morning, Tyler F. Avocados Diabli. Tyrannus. Alexandrius. The Invictus. Lich. Good morning, sir. Also, good morning, GDSOB. What's up? Hello. Wow. Okay. Lord Stanhope's here. Good morning. Also, Natasha Kayleen, of course, who has already sponsored the show. Good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg. And what's going on down here? What, is this it? Is that all that's here right now? Did the notifications go out? Some of you must have got a notification. Well, there's 15. Okay, that's right. Simon Wolfwood's in the house. I see you. And there's more people here. I just don't know exactly where. Also, thank you, Jimmy Das Hotep, through Streamlabs, which makes you the Streamlab.
The new
Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Dropping a Hamilton over in the tip jar via Streamlabs. Remember, the Streamlabs is pdognight.live. That means you give less money to YouTube, and more of your money goes to the person you intended it for. Thank you for dropping a Hamilton, who says, if only there were individuals and communities warning us about corrupt government removing rights of citizens through force and use of the judicial system for decades, centuries, we definitely would have listened to those folks instead of telling them to submit, obey. Well, that is a good point. I got you. I know what you mean there. I see it. It's we got to watch that. We got to watch the corrupt government. And, they're just not always good. Thank you. Good morning, Trippy Liberty, by the way. So we're going to get into what's everything trending today. Well, not everything, but the things that are important that are trending are kind of related to this whole Jack Smith indictment of Donald Trump, this new indictment based on some of the January 6th stuff, right? Trippy Liberty, hi. Did I just say that, didn't I? And also Malia Carr, what's up? Welcome back. And thank you, Natasha Kayleen, dropping another super chat via YouTube. Appreciate you, my dear. This is just one of those little those thingies that make the funny look things. It looks like a pear giving me a thumbs up. So I appreciate you. Natasha. All right. Let's figure this out. By the way, Malia Carr, one of our friends from Down Under. Nice to see you. All right. Let's get into some of the trainings. Now, yesterday, by the way, I had said something about something Neil deGrasse Tyson said, and I actually had the wrong video up. So let's start with that, because this is not necessarily trending. It was trending yesterday, but it's cringe, to be honest with you. So Neil deGrasse Tyson, the guy, the supposedly really super smart sciencey guy, physicist or geophysicist or metaphysicist or whatever he is. Okay, he has decided. Well, let's just play it. Let's just play it so you'll understand what's going on with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's kind of. Oh wait, I gotta make it so you can see it first though. He's kind of leaving. No, shh. Quiet. I gotta get on the screen first. Let's get on the screen first. Neil deGrasse Tyson who's supposed to be a scientist, apparently has decided to be a political scientist. Preemptive FTG. Yes. We can go ahead. Astrophysicist. Is that what he is? Well, ass. Yes, he's an ass. Astrophysicist. Anyway, let's watch smartest man on the planet, apparently, deciding to make science political. So he and Stephen Smith, he and Stephen Smith were talking about some of the gender stuff. Eddie the Yet, what's up? How you doing? Welcome, or Eddie the Yeti. I see, I'm getting old and I got to look at that a little closer, but if I look too close, it's blurry. But if I go too far away, I can't see it. See, so I'm even wearing my try whatever focal contacts. It just, maybe it was just, that's because I need to blink. There's some juice in my eye. Anyway, let's talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson, or let's watch what he said, because he's dipping into the realm of some pseudoscience here. Here we go.
My point is, apparently, the XXXY chromosomes are insufficient.
Insufficient for what,
Because
Neil?
when we wake up in the morning, we exaggerate whatever feature we want to portray the gender of our choice.
He's jumping into gender ideology. I'm gonna let you finish, Neil. I'm gonna let you finish. Listen to what Neil says. Oh my God.
Either the one you're assigned, the one you choose to be, whatever.
Neil. The one you're assigned. You mean, I would say, look, I would, if you want to be accurate, okay, because you're not assigned gender. If you're going to say gender and sex are separate things, not according to each other. If you're going to say that, look, you're not assigned. Maybe if you say the gender that's traditionally thought of, that's the sex you were observed being at birth, because your sex don't change. But again, all these people who start talking about this, even by their own rules, can't seem to understand or use the proper terminology when it comes to the difference between sex and gender. So here, watch Neil deGrasse Tyson botch this complete argument in the first place. Hello, Aaron Meredith. How you doing, my brother? He's gonna botch this. Watch.
Here it is. And so now, so now just to tie a bow on this.
Let's tie a bow on it, smart guy, Mr. Ass. Astrophysicist. Physicist.
To you, somewhere I read.
Oh, somewhere I read. So, okay, wait a minute. Isn't Neil deGrasse Tyson an ass? Astrophysicist, smart guy, science. She blinded me with science. Somewhere I read, is that the scientific basis for about what you're about to say? I'm curious. He's gone. He's been woke. Well, the kind of the Ron DeSantis definition of woke, not the black people definition of woke, but whatever. He has been woke. He has been compromised. Okay. That's a good, my pause game is pretty on there. Look at that. He looks really weird. Okay. Let's finish what he's saying.
Somewhere, I think I read.
Is that your scientific basis for about what you're about to say, Neil? I read some. I think I read.
The United States was a land where we have the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, he's being sarcastic.
Suppose no matter my chromosomes, today I feel 80% female.
Stop. Stop. There is no feeling that you're female. By their rules, sex, gender, two different things. Female is sex. You're female no matter how you feel. No matter how you want to express yourself in this social construct of gender, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as I feel 80% female, because female would be the sex, and you're not female, Neil. You're male. It's dimorphic species, right? This is the science part that you should be talking about. Okay? Now, I want to socially act like I'm a woman. Okay? That would be your gender expression, or the way they describe gender, as if it was not part of your sex, but whatever.
20% male. I'm gonna put on makeup. I'm gonna do that. Tomorrow I might feel 80% male.
Again,
I'll remove the makeup. And
the scientist can't even figure out the science part of this. Obviously, that's weird. Is this science, Neil? Or are you just pulling some political shit out of your hind parts?
Wear a muscle shirt. Why do you care?
Why can't a woman wear a muscle shirt? And this is the part where it kind of annoys me though. And Billboard Chris has a great answer for this. So he's going to say,
muscle shirt.
Why do you care? Why do I care?
What business is it of yours to require?
What business is it of government's? Well, to require what?
That I fulfill your inability to think of gender on a spectrum.
Oh, see, okay, all right. Let's. Here's my answer, and I'll give you Billboard Chris's answer, because his answer is actually way better than mine was. Okay. So why do we care? Well, because children are being medically transitioned into permanent damage to their current bodies, being cut up, sterilized, and turned into lifelong pharmaceutical patients. And perhaps the coming mental health crisis that is going to be caused by this is going to cost us a lot more money than, because people are going to start getting sued. See, people who've been pushed through this transition stuff are starting to sue hospitals. And maybe the hospitals should wake up, because the rest of the world, especially countries where we think that, they're so much better because they're a little bit more socialized than us, like Sweden and Finland and, the Northern European countries that everyone's so excited about, they're starting to figure out, our research that we've been doing for 30 years is showing us that, hey, maybe we should stop doing this because this ain't working. It ain't stopping the self-ending rate. It's not, it's not doing anything. And it's just a fad. Just a fad. And we're permanently damaging people with it. That's why I care, Neil. And the question is, why don't you care? By the way, also the fact that, hello, Shrapnel. By the way, another reason that we care, I don't care what another person does or wears or presents themselves as long as they're keeping to themselves and they're not infringing on my rights, my daughter's rights, my granddaughter's rights, my son's rights, anyone else's rights. Your choice to be something other than you are really doesn't affect me until you demand and start making laws that say I have to accommodate you, or I have to believe that you say what you are. When you start saying it's hate speech for me to see what I see and use the language and dialect that I know and have been speaking ever since I was a kid, and you start making demands of me, then it is my business, Neil. That's why I care. If you're just going to go stay off in your little pride parade or whatever and do something over there and you're not bothering me and my kids, I don't care. Unless you start unless you start teaching my kid in school, or you tell my kid in school, or my grandkid, or whoever, my kids are grown up. But if you have someone telling my grandkids that, this is malleable. You could be a boy, you could be a girl. In fact, we could transition you without telling your mom and dad. Well, now you're in my business, Neil. So that's why. All right, enough of Neil deGrasse Tyson. It pissed me off. By the way, I'll have links to everything we do at the end of the show in the chat, and also in the description of both on Rumble and on YouTube, like I do every day, and then also on the Discord server. If you're on the Discord server, I put replays of the show on there every day. And follow me on Twitter, follow me on other social media, and you'll be able to find me. All right, let's move on because I'm done being pissed off about that. Other things trending today are pretty much almost all related to the indictments from yesterday. So we'll just go through them real quick. By the way, a couple quick thank yous. Tyler F., thank you for tweeting out the show. I see some people. What are all these people? There's a whole bunch of people liking the show that I have no idea who they are. Bunch of like those fake, you know how you get the fake accounts that follow you? Although these all have like 20 or 30. This is unusual. There's a lot of people liking this. I have no idea who they are. Anyway, thanks, Tyler. Please, by the way, the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you. Please tweet the show or put it on somewhere on social media, Facebook, or wherever else you do social media stuff. I don't know. I'm always on X, aka Twitter. But retweet there and share the show. And also, you can sponsor the show, pdognight.live, 24 hours a day. But during the show, the super chat's there. You can type as much as you want, up to 256 characters, unlike YouTube where you have to pay more to do that many. And also, if you do it, if you do it there, Streamlabs, which is pdognight.live, you don't have to pay them as much. And you don't have to pay extra to do that. You don't have to pay. The money you send to me mostly goes to me. All right. Trending topics on Twitter today. X. Now I asked. I did send a message to Elon Musk. I had to ask him if I dead name X, if I call Twitter X, will that get me suspended? I really, because I don't want to use the dead name, but I can't help it because I'm used to calling it Twitter. Anyway, some of the things trending on Twitter this morning. We already saw Neil deGrasse Tyson. Jack Smith, obviously, is trending. We'll get to that in a minute. But there's a lot of people referring to him. Let me get the Daily Krasenstein out of the way, though. So, well, it flipped on me. I wanted to do the Daily Krasenstein. Well, let's see how people are reacting to Jack Smith. We know that there's the new indictment. We'll talk about it in a minute. But Glenn Greenwald, this is pretty funny. The newest indictment reads exactly like a jointly written monologue by Joe Scarborough, Chris Hayes, Lawrence O'Donnell, and Jen Psaki. It's like Jack Smith randomly borrowed from the MSNBC scripts from over the past 2 years and just mixed it like a resistance ad lib. That's kind of funny. Special counsel reveals itself an MSNBC monologue with prosecutorial powers. Michael Tracy says Trump was continuing to perpetrate the grand criminal conspiracy by tweeting out "Stay peaceful" and "No violence" on January 6th, according to the brilliant legal mind of Jack Smith. So here's what Michael Tracy is referring to. This is part of the indictment. The defendant repeatedly refused to approve a message directing rioters to leave the Capitol. Now that's interesting because there is, hello, John Arnott, by the way, Gen T, what's up? There is a video, and I don't know where it is, but what's his name? Shaman something, QAnon Shaman, Jack Chansley or whatever. There's video of him reading Trump's tweets to the crowd before they got inside the Capitol building. Actually telling them to stay peaceful, law enforcement are our friends, blah, 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 don't do this, don't do that. And then, in fact, look at this. Here's what he put in the indictment. The defendant repeatedly refused to approve a message directing rioters to leave the Capitol as urged by his most senior advisors, including White House counsel, a deputy White House counsel, the chief of staff, a deputy chief of staff, a senior advisor. Instead, the defendant issued 2 tweets that did not ask rioters to leave the Capitol, but instead falsely suggested the crowd at the Capitol was being peaceful. And then he says, now, at 2:38 p.m., quote, "Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful." What? Wait, let me read what he said before this again. Instead, the defendant issued 2 tweets that did not ask rioters to leave the Capitol, but instead falsely suggested that the crowd at the Capitol was being peaceful, including, and then this is what it says, he's telling them to be peaceful. And then the second one, at 3:13 p.m., I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. He's telling them to be peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. What is he telling them? He's telling them to be peaceful. And Jack says he didn't ask them to leave, but instead falsely suggested the crowd was being peaceful. No, he told them to be peaceful. The fact that they didn't isn't the problem, but he told them to. And in fact, Jacob Chansley was up there right in front of the Capitol building yelling at people, hey, Donald Trump just tweeted. He said to be peaceful. And in fact, when Jacob Chansley entered the building, right? And they were standing there and the police in there were saying, hey, we'll let you in, but we got to do this and got to do that. You got to stay peaceful. You can't do anything. La, da, da, da. And he's repeating what the officers say to the other people, the crowds that they say. Oh, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But yeah, that's pretty funny. He put it right there in the indictment that what Donald Trump asked them to do. Gee, that sounds like someone who wants an insurrection. Why is that? I want the really echoey one. Where's the echoey one? Hang on a second. Let me see. Is that number? Let's try this one. Insurrection. Oh, that's not good. Insurrection. No. Insurrection. That's a little better. Number 5. Okay. Insurrection. Sorry. That's funny. That is funny. Literally, he put it right in there that he was telling them to stay peaceful. He didn't say to break shit and push people. He said be peaceful. Hello, Reaction Puerto Rico. So anyway, thank you, John Arnott, by the way, sponsor the show. Dropped a 5 in the tip jar. Said, good morning, dogs. So good morning to all the dogs in the dog pound. How y'all doing? Anyway, Sean Davis, if the GOP House had any semblance of spine or balls, Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, and David Weiss would all be impeached tomorrow morning. Jack Smith is hiding in violation of federal FOIA law the names of the prosecutors trying to jail Trump. So a bunch of people talking about this, Jack Smith. Anyway, also trending is Mike Pence, because Mike Pence came out and made a statement yesterday. What did he say? Today's indictment serves as an important reminder. Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. Now, that is funny. That's funny because, throughout this entire ordeal, so to speak, hasn't Donald Trump been attempting to use lawyers, to use the law, try to use constitutional means to try to fix what he saw as a fraudulent election? Isn't that what he was trying to do? He was getting lawyers. They were filing lawsuits. Different groups were filing lawsuits. The idea that you would have the legislatures, if they felt that their election process didn't go right, the legislatures could choose the electors, which is in the Constitution, which has been done before 1870 something. He was trying to do it by the Constitution means, but Pence says anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. Interesting. That's an interesting way to put it. Now, so a lot of people are shitting on Mike Pence, Cat Turd, Michael Tracy, Jenna Ellis. Apparently Tucker ending his career wasn't enough for him, so he decided to bury himself. By the way, that whole thing about it's not my concern. I've watched that a couple more times. He wasn't saying that the United States wasn't his concern. I may have to do a video on that because I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. he was answering a different question than the immediately preceding question. He was answering the first part of the question. I'll get to that some other day. All right. But anyway, he's trending, but also trending is the word coward. Coward is trending. And a lot of them are saying Mike Pence is a coward. Some people are saying that the GOP is cowards because they're not being a little more forceful about everything. Pence is a coward. That's according to Sebastian Gorka. Mike Pence on January 4th, 2021. I know we all got doubts about the election. I shared the concerns of millions of Americans about voting irregularities. I promise you this Wednesday, we'll have our day in Congress. We'll hear the objections. We'll hear the evidence. Whoa, what happened to that? That didn't happen 2 days later. That didn't happen. He was full speed ahead. Hello, the one who, formerly known as the one who tubes. And also, good morning, those ain't real, dude. How y'all doing? So anyway, the more charges and indictments are brought forward, the more their impact waters down and Trump's "they're coming after you, I'm just in the way" message solidifies. Oh, isn't that right, Reaction? Absolutely. So, someone says Jim Jordan's a liar and a coward. Okay, would you rather put your defense of Donald Trump above the Constitution, which you took an oath to... Again, they were trying to use constitutional means for what they were trying to do. Now, there are different opinions of what that could be. And that's especially important in this case because if you thought they were, because, oh, by the way, they're counting a bunch of those lawyers as co-conspirators. Oh, we'll get to it. Also trending First Amendment. A lot of people are saying that they're trampling on the First Amendment rights of the President of the United States, because the President has First Amendment rights too. So there's a couple of things of that trending. I'm not going to go through that because you can look at those yourself. Also trending is, what's this one? What happened? Frozen. Rudy Giuliani's trending. I think he might be one of the charged co-conspirators that I'm not 100%. Oh shit. No. See, that's what happens. God damn it, YouTube or Twitter, whatever this is, X. All right, let's, I'm gonna have to cut that out. I'll have to private the video later. All right. Let's skip Rudy Giuliani. See, that's a danger of, there it is again. What the hell? What the F? All right. That's it. What the fuck is going on here? What the hell happened there? This is pissing me off. It was supposed to be. That's not Rudy. The hell? Okay, this is gone. Jesus. It's not. Who's laughing? Nobody laughing at that shit. Ashley Babbitt, the only one shot. No one was armed that day. Why? Because it was a protest to an obviously stolen election. 5 states. Trump crushing Biden at midnight. Then they all have issues. Yeah, they all shut down their. They shut down the whole thing. The idea that 6 states all shut down their county at the same time. What are the odds of that? What are the odds? Hello, Selected Boy. How you doing?
Yeah, boy.
Also trending, Roger Stone. Roger Stone has weighed in. Apparently, some people thought Roger Stone might have been one of these so-called conspirators, but no. Roger Stone says, for all you leftist haters who are so certain that I was defendant number 6, you lose, and I was never at any fucking war room in the Willard Hotel, as 3 sources confirmed with the Washington Post. So you put up a thing about the Washington Post, but a lot of people are talking about Roger Stone, thinking he's part of the old nonsense, and he's not. All right, and then Jesse Waters is trending. We'll show you why in a second. And Stacey Abrams is trending because, if you want to talk about election denials, Stacey Abrams is your girl. All right, let's move on. Couple things, too, that's trending. The incandescent bulb ban apparently starts today. Did you know about this? Apparently, if you like your light bulb, you can't keep your light bulb. Well, if you already have them. The Biden administration is seeing to that. Well, to be fair, you can keep whatever incandescent bulbs you may currently own, but you will not be able to replace them. That is because today is the day when the ban on the sale of and manufacture of most incandescent bulbs officially goes into effect. From here on out, your options will likely be limited to LEDs and fluorescents. Now, In my house, we've already changed to all LEDs. The technology works. They work in the cold. The fluorescents suck. I hate the fluorescents. But now they've got LED technologies that give you warm light like an incandescent. So we're all good. But anyway, but now it'll be illegal to make them. Thank you to the one who dropped a dollar in the over by Rebel Ramps. Not sure if anyone's been listening to Dr. Shiva, but he's the best candidate to fix things. But most base folks need laser eyes, vindication of Trump. If the corruption persists, we're fucked. Yeah, I think we already are. I just got to tell you, we already kind of are. So anyway, the funny thing is that this is not exactly news. People have known about it for years, and although occasionally popped up in the news stories or your local radio host sack of stuff, no one enforced it. I remember years ago when the word first came out that the incandescents were on the hit list, my wife and I went to the local home improvement store and bought a small stockpile. Since there are only 2 of us and we don't use that much power, we still have most of them. I have yet to hit the area stores to see if the shelves have been cleaned out by light bulb hoarders. Look, like I said, the LEDs have gotten much better, but you can't melt plastic toys on LED bulbs. Yes, that is true. You cannot melt plastic toys on LED bulbs. But anyway, I don't miss incandescent bulbs because our light bill is less. I mean, this whole studio is lit with LEDs. I mean, it works, and I'm everywhere. So, but still, if you want an incandescent bulb, you should be able to get one, right? Oh yeah. Rest in peace to Easy Bake Oven though, because that was how you heated the baking goods in your Easy Bake Ovens. So that's kind of a bummer. Leftism, we are pro-choice. We are going to control your choices because you are a bad person and you won't make good choices on your own. Thank you, Simon Wolfwood. That's funny too. All right, let's get into the indictment stuff. Yesterday, Jack Smith, the special prosecutor who's going after the funny-haired one, made this announcement.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jack.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump.
Now, let me just stop real quick. You know how you always see these pictures of Jack Smith, and he looks like this really stern, tough guy? Hey, Jaeger Pony, what's up? My favorite Canadian's in the house. Also special canned acid. He always looks like this really stern, tough guy, but then you see him in person, he's kind of I don't know what the word is. He's kind of wishy-washy. Anyway.
With conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters.
Okay, conspiring to fraud. Conspiring to what? I'm sorry.
States.
Hang on.
J. Trump, with conspiring to defraud the United States.
To defraud the United States.
Conspiring to disenfranchise voters. And conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding.
To obstruct an official proceeding? Oh my! That's the misdemeanor charge that they've been throwing at the January 6 people. To obstruct an official proceeding.
The indictment was issued by a grand jury of citizens here in the district.
Really? And here's that thing. See, this indictment was issued by a grand jury because we're too much of a bunch of pussies to do it ourselves. So we can say that's plausible deniability. We had presented to a grand jury because we weren't, they can't say that, well, they're coming after Trump, with the political prosecution. The grand jury did it. Oh, you mean a grand jury in D.C. that votes 98% Democrat? I can't imagine. Anyway.
District of Columbia, and it sets forth the crimes charged in detail.
Does it?
I encourage everyone to read it in full.
Oh, okay.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021.
Now he's gonna get emotional here. It's emotional because the attack on the nation's capital. You mean the riot that happened during a protest? The ones where the police started throwing flashbangs in the crowd and then people got riled up, started fighting with the police? That attack
was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy.
Democracy.
As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies.
Oh.
Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election. The men and women of law enforcement who defended.
So he's gonna, what the part of the thing they're doing here is they're saying that when Donald Trump said that he believed the election was stolen, they're saying that he's lying because some of his advisors said that they didn't believe it was stolen. Does that, so what they're going to have to prove here is that Donald Trump did not believe that the election was stolen. Now, I don't know if there's ever been a time since that election that he's ever said otherwise, but that's what they have to prove, that he didn't believe the election was stolen because some of his advisors said it wasn't. But what's interesting is they're going to open the door for some discovery here and for be able to get at least some of their justification for him believing that into the court. If they don't, of course, we'll see. We'll have to talk about the judge first because she pulls some shenanigans in some of these January 6 trials that make you wonder. But this is all going to be appealable. This is probably going to go to the Supreme Court more than once. This is going to take a few years. Let's just put it that way.
The U.S. Capitol on January 6th are heroes.
Oh, yeah, you say the police there were heroes.
They are the very best of us.
Okay.
They did not just defend a building or the people sheltering in it.
Or they did not defend the building. That's what you should say, Jack. They did not defend the building at all. In fact, the place where the building was being broken into, they did not defend it. There were people standing around. There were people in the crowd begging the police to tell the people to stop them from breaking the windows where they were breaching the building. And they did not defend it. Now, they fought down along the, there's a big retaining wall. There's a platform area where some were fighting with police over there and in one of the tunnels, but they let people into the building. They didn't defend the building. So you're right. They didn't just defend the building. He's going to say they defended democracy. Bullshit.
Election. The men and women of law enforcement who defended the U.S. Capitol on January 6th are heroes. They are patriots and they are the very best of us.
Now, I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying here in some ways. You support law enforcement, but if they fuck up, because that's not what they were doing here. I don't always support them.
They did not just defend a building.
They did not defend the building.
People sheltering in it.
They did not defend the people sheltering in it.
They put their lives in the line.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't put their lives in the line. There was no chance of anyone being killed, except they killed a couple people. But no, they did not put now, let me back up. Had there been more weapons and stuff, which they weren't sure of, maybe they would have been putting their lives in the line. But in hindsight, we know that they didn't put their lives in the line. They fought with some of the protesters. Some of the protesters fought with them. Some of them were injured, just like when the White House was almost breached in April 27th, 2020. Excuse me, 2020. Yeah, April 29th, 2020, where 60 Secret Service agents were injured in rioting in front of a White House. So, anyway.
We are as a country and as a people. They defended the very institutions and principles that define the United States.
Yeah, maybe.
Since the attack on our Capitol, the Department of Justice has remained committed to ensuring accountability for those criminally responsible for what happened that day.
Ah, yes, the grannies who were...
This case is brought consistent with that commitment, and our investigation of other individuals continues. In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our other...
Now, they will seek a speedy trial, but they have two going already, or they have one going already, and then there's one in New York, with Alvin Bragg. I don't know how they're going to make a speedy trial before the election. The one has already moved to May or March or something like that. There's not going to be a speedy trial here because there's going to be all kinds of requests for documents. And I'm sure the defense is going to be bringing in stuff, a whole lot of stuff. We'll see what the judge does, but the judge is shady.
Tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens.
Jury of citizens from Washington, D.C., 99% Democrat. Hello, amazing disgrace. What's up?
In the meantime, I must emphasize that the indictment is only an allegation and that the defendant must be presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, nobody's doing
beyond
that.
a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
Yeah, nobody's doing that. And again, you're in D.C. where every single January 6th defendant that has been tried, except for one, I think one case was dismissed and every other one was found guilty or had to plea bargain to be guilty in Washington, D.C. So anyway, that's Jack Smith's announcement. We'll move on. So a few places obviously reporting this. Breitbart is one of them. Indictment 3.0. Jack Smith indicts Trump a day after Hunter and Joe Biden are implicated. Special counsel Jack Smith announced Tuesday evening that the grand jury in Washington, D.C. had indicted former President Donald Trump on charges related to the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. The indictment was announced the day after President Joe Biden had been implicated in a long-running influence peddling scheme by his son, Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devin Archer. In testimony before the House Oversight Committee, Trump was indicted on 4 counts: 1 conspiracy to defraud the U.S., 1 conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Oh, that's a big one. 1 obstruction and attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. That's 2 different things. What is conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, and the other is one of obstruction and attempt to obstruct official proceedings. So they basically make 2 charges out of 1, and then 1 of a conspiracy against rights. Notice what's missing there. What's missing in these charges? Insurrection. But guess what? There's people arguing because of this indictment, Trump shouldn't be on the ballots. Okay, we'll get there. The indictment declares, quote, despite having lost, the defendant was determined to stay in power so far more than 2 months following Election Day on November 3rd, 2020. The defendant spread lies that there had been an outcome determinative fraud in the election that he actually won. These claims were false, and the defendant knew they were false. So that's where they're going with. They're going to say that there's no way that they were false statements. Now, and the reason they are emphasizing he knew they were false is because you can make false statements. And they're going to claim it's fraud because they're saying he knew it was false. But what if he comes in with a bunch of evidence that says he believes it was true, which he still says on the campaign trail? No matter what anyone says around him, they have to prove he knew it was false in his mind, that he was making a false statement. That ain't going to happen. Trump tweeted out, I hear deranged Jack Smith, in order to interfere with the presidential election of 2024, will be putting out yet another fake indictment of your favorite president, me, at 5 p.m. Why didn't they do this 2 years ago? Why did they wait so long? Because they wanted to put it right in the middle of my campaign prosecutorial misconduct. And then the campaign said this is nothing more than the latest corrupt chapter in the continued pathetic attempt by the Biden crime family and their weaponized Department of Justice to interfere with the 2024 presidential election, in which President Trump is the undisputed frontrunner and leading by substantial margins. But why did they wait 2.5 years to bring these fake charges right in the middle of President Trump's winning campaign for 2024? Why was it announced the day after the crooked Joe Biden scandal broke out from the halls of Congress? The answer is election interference. The lawlessness of these persecutions of President Trump and his supporters is reminiscent of Nazi Germany. Okay, anytime you start referencing Nazi Germany, you almost lost your argument. What's that law called? There's a name for that law. In the 1930s, former Soviet Union and other authoritarian of course, he's not wrong. Other authoritarian dictatorial regimes. President Trump has always followed the law and the Constitution with the advice from many highly accomplished attorneys. Well, they're charging the attorneys too. See, they're really starting to get into this attorney-client privilege thing too. They want to. That's where that's Godwin's law. Yes, thank you. That's where they're treading on tough constitutional grounds. 3 years ago, we had strong borders, energy independence, no inflation, and a great economy. Today, we are a nation in decline. President Trump will not be deterred by disgraceful and unprecedented political targeting. Okay, so if you want to see the entire 45-page indictment, it is in this particular article. I'm sure you can find other places, but that'll be in the links today. Again, at the end of the show, I drop a single link that'll take you a page full of links of everything we did today. In the Daily Caller, Jack Smith, prosecution of Trump, has major First Amendment problems. That's why we're talking about the First Amendment today also. Hello, Episkopos, by the way. Legal experts reacted to former President Donald Trump's third indictment Tuesday, sounding the alarm about how the indictment against his alleged attempt to overturn the 2020 election prosecutes protected speech. Trump was charged Tuesday with one count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, one count of conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, one count of a conspiracy against rights, and one count of obstruction and attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. All very, very highly dangerous, violent felonies, I guess, according to the indictment. Legal experts said the charges are built on speech protected by the First Amendment. Now, that Jonathan Turley, who seems to be, I don't know, again, Jonathan Turley is kind of like the Tim Pool of legal experts, who claims to be a liberal but always seems to be siding with the right, which is fine. I don't care as long as he's using proper legal doctrine. I don't care, but it's always weird how because they're quick to say, well, he's a Democrat, he's this and that. Anyway, George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley said Smith issued the first criminal indictment of alleged disinformation. If you take a red pen to all of the material presumptively protected by the First Amendment, you can reduce much of the indictment haiku. To haiku, he said. I felt that the Mar-a-Lago indictment was strong. This is the inverse. Turley also said in Fox News the indictment is unfair at points, noting that it quotes Trump in his speech about encouraging people to go to the Capitol, but like the January 6th committee, omits where he says you should go peacefully. Well, except for that one thing where he said that he implied that the crowd was peaceful, when in fact what the word said was he was telling the crowd to be peaceful. Anyway. So then also, let's see, lawyer and town hall columnist Kurt Schlichter, who is firmly on the right, called the indictment 45 pages of First Amendment protected activity. It's 45 pages of First Amendment protected activity broken up by 4 captions listing conspiracy statutes that do not apply. He tweeted, "It's not a conspiracy to use free speech to attempt to participate in the political system, no matter how badly our garbage elite wants it to be." So they have more links to the actual indictment, so we'll move on. Also, Breitbart, January 6th case assigned to Obama-appointed judge. Now, this is where we get into the judge. The federal judge assigned to the January 6th case against former President Donald Trump was appointed by former President Barack Obama, who also happens to be an Obama donor. Appointed in 2014, the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia by Obama, Judge Tanya Chutkan has been known to give some of the harshest sentences for January 6 defendants, with some even going beyond the government recommendations. The Trump case has been assigned to U.S. District Court Tanya Chutkan, and Obama appointee is the only federal judge in Washington, D.C. who has sentenced January 6 defendants to sentences longer than the government had requested, according to MSNBC's Kyle Griffin. So, hey, the Democrats will love that. It's also the same Tanya Chutkan who represented Theranos at Boyce Schiller, the firm that hired Fusion GPS to attack Theranos whistleblowers, and then presided as judge in the U.S. House lawsuit against Fusion GPS, completely corrupt. So yeah, they're going to talk about a lot about her. In 2021, Chuck had ruled hundreds of pages of the former president's White House records could be turned over to the January 6th investigating committee, despite Trump's objections. The court holds that the public interest lies in permitting, not enjoining, the combined will of the legislative and executive branches to study the events that led to and occurred on January 6th, and to consider legislation to prevent such events from ever occurring again. So she kind of breached the separation of powers on that one. According to Open Secrets, Chuck had also donated to the 2008 and 2012 political campaigns of Barack Obama. Now, other problem is she also worked for the law firm that employed Hunter Biden, and she's also lobbied for, or the same firm lobbies for Burisma. U.S. District Court Judge Tanya Chutkan of Washington, D.C., the judge overseeing the former President Donald Trump's case in the district, previously worked at a law firm that once employed Hunter Biden and worked closely with the Ukrainian energy company firm or whatever, Burisma. She spent 12 years working for Boyce, Schiller, and Flexner. So this is kind of course, that's kind of a guilt by association thing, but still. Let's just say she has strong ties to Democrats, Biden, Obama, and whatever. Now, again, Mike Pence was trending earlier today, so here's Mike Pence. I think they had a clip of him. One of the reasons that he is trending and the word coward is trending, former President Mike Pence claimed in a statement that former President Donald Trump put himself over the Constitution and should never be president of the United States after Special Counsel Jack Smith indicted Trump on charges stemming from January 6th. Trump was, okay, let's see. Here it is. Today's indictment serves as a poignant reminder anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. I will have more to say about the government's case after reviewing the indictment. So that's interesting. This is before he reviewed the indictment, he said that? So what? Very interesting. FTG, Mike Pence. Sorry, dude. Just FTG. Now, here's something interesting, though. So when I was saying before that Donald Trump was trying to use legal means to hold off on the electors, get different, slate different electors to go to Congress or to go to Congress for January 6th, right? That he was trying to do it in a constitutional legal manner. Well, here's an interesting clip from Van Jones. Okay, so he's been indicted for using the constitutional process to contest the election, a process that Van Jones perfectly described on CNN. So let's watch this because this is fascinating. Here's how Van Jones had described this process.
Vice President, federal law says all election disputes at the state level need to be wrapped up by December 8th so the electors can cast their ballots on December the 14th. Now, each state governor has got to certify the electors' votes and then send them on to Congress. So the results aren't official until the new Congress counts those ballots on January the 6th. Now, it's usually a straightforward process, but let's say,
but not always,
questions the legitimacy of the state's count.
Wait, what was that? If what? If one candidate...
But let's say one of the candidates questions the legitimacy of the state's count.
Interesting. We had one candidate who questioned the legitimacy of 6 states' counts. Now, let's see what he says about this.
The governor could choose not to certify the electors' votes.
Oh, so what was he trying to do? Well, he's trying to get the governors to not certify votes because there was some shenanigans, it seemed like. Now, we don't know for sure because they never let us look at the ballots. But anyway, that's interesting.
Or, though this is really unlikely, the state legislature could decide to contest the election and send a different count to Congress.
Is that why he was talking to some state legislatures too?
Meaning, Congress could end up with no results or with competing results from the same state.
Oh, you mean like the extra electors they slated?
So Congress would no longer have to honor that state's electors at all. Now, the House and the Senate can then decide which result is valid or throw out the votes from that state altogether. Now, I know you think I'm crazy, but this actually happened.
It happened in 1876.
1876, shortly after the Civil War. Samuel Tilden won the popular vote, but...
Okay, real quick, before I let this go on, does anyone know who ended up being president instead of Samuel Tilden? Anybody know? Do 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 do. Do 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 doop 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 doop. And the correct answer is
There were 19 electoral votes in dispute. Congress had to step in and broker a compromise. Rutherford Hayes was eventually named
Rutherford
president
B.
in exchange
Hayes
for the end of Reconstruction and the withdrawal of federal troops from the South. Here's where things get even more interesting. If a candidate still doesn't have a majority of electoral votes by the end of this process, the House of Representatives decides who will be president, and each state delegation gets one vote. The Senate picks a vice president.
There we go.
No matter what happens, somebody has got to take the oath of office on January 20th.
So help me God.
If both the president and the vice president are still undecided, the Speaker of the House temporarily gets that job.
Yeesh, that could have been Nancy Pelosi. But anyway, so it's interesting because that is the process the president was attempting to use. That is the process his lawyers were pushing, because there were 6 states where they felt they could contest the results. Whether that was accurate or not, well, we never got to actually find out through the courts. So, moving on. Flashback. Oh, then there is this video. It's 12 minutes long, so I'm not going to play it, but it's 12 minutes of Democrats denying the election votes, because, oh my gosh, Donald Trump denying the election results, even after people told him that they were, that they were accurate. Oh my gosh, they have to prove that Donald Trump didn't believe that. And, the worst thing you can do ever, of all times ever, is to question election results. Oh, well, I'm not going to play this video because it's 12 minutes long, but there's 12 minutes. Well, maybe at the end. Maybe we'll do it at the end. 12 minutes of Democrats denying election results. And here's all the ones that are in this video from 2000, 2004, 2016, and 2018. Let's move on, though. So we're going to go through some videos. First, Jesse Waters was trending this morning, and this is what I do want to show you, because I think Jesse Waters did a pretty good job laying this out in his show last night. So we'll do a little reaction to this. We might cut it short because there's a couple more videos I want to go through, but I have several videos today, just different reactions to this indictment. So let's start with Jesse Waters.
Charges against Donald Trump, his political opponent, for the 3rd time in 4 months. This time, the charges relate to January 6th.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Today,
Jack. How you doing,
an
brother?
Indictment was unsealed,
Hi.
charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding.
And now here's the other thing.
The indictment was issued.
Conspiring to disenfranchise voters. Or was he trying to help the voters that voted for him? What do you mean? Is that the conspiracy to disenfranchise voters? Well, what if he believed that he actually won because of the, shenanigans going on in those 6 states? Interesting.
By a grand jury of citizens here in the District of Columbia.
In Washington, D.C.
And it sets forth the crimes charged in detail.
That was Special Counsel Jack Smith, who looked like a bedraggled, nervous wreck, dripping with anger and highly emotional. The last time Jack Smith charged a politician, the case was so weak it got tossed out of the Supreme Court unanimously. Now, Biden's Justice Department is using obscure federal statutes to put a former president in prison for the rest of his life.
That's what they're trying to do.
These
No.
charges aren't bribery.
Now here's where I disagree with Jesse Waters. They don't give a shit whether he ends up in prison. In fact, I bet if he lost on all these charges, he still wouldn't be in prison. But they have one purpose and one purpose only. And I named it in the title of the show today. It's all according to plan. It's all according to plan that they're trying to make it so he cannot be president again. And we've heard the plan by accident multiple times by different people. Anyway.
Not assault, not tax evasion, not sex trafficking. They're charging Trump under the Act of 1866. It was used against the Klan, and now they're using it against Trump. Here are the specific charges.
To them,
Count 1,
Trump is
conspiracy to defraud the United States. Count 2, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Count 3, conspiracy or attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. And count 4, conspiracy
I'm going to move
against
this along
rights.
a little faster.
Okay, now here's how they're saying Trump broke the law. They're saying Trump lied that the election was fraudulent when he really knew the election was clean.
This
and
is
that
the
these
part
lies
they have.
made
This
it hard
part
for the
is hard to
government
prove.
to certify the election.
Be impossible to
Now,
prove.
first, they said Trump called a bunch of state legislators in Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin and tried to get them to investigate election fraud, hold hearings.
Wow. That's terrible. That he said he wanted to investigate election fraud. That's awful. He should go to jail for that. Thank you, Ty Alexander, by the way, sponsors the show, who says, if Democrats were so confident in their belief about their 2020 victory, they would have given Trump all the recounts he wanted. Why? Just to rub it in his face. The fact they didn't just proves that these petty cunts don't believe in their victory. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but I said it. Thank you, Ty Alexander.
Okay. Then the government says Trump tried to get some states to send in Trump electors instead of Biden electors.
Like they did in 1876.
And only a tiny handful of states did that. They mailed in some Trump electors to the archivist and to the Senate.
Hi, Brent Hayes.
And then the Senate threw them in the garbage and ratified the Biden electors. That was it. Then they're saying Trump broke the law when he asked Pence to do the right thing, to not certify and kick it back to the states. That was a different legal interpretation than many people had at the time, but it was a difference of opinion.
Again, that was
and it didn't matter
they went
Pence
try to
didn't
do it by legal means.
And then they're saying the January 6th protesters, because of Trump's lies, slowed down the certification for a couple hours. That's it. Those are the charges. Now, I know this doesn't count in a court of law, but do you think Trump had any idea that he was breaking the law when he was asking Mike Pence not to certify? And how are you going to prove that Trump knew there wasn't any election fraud?
Well,
And
they're
how are you gonna prove
claiming
that
people told
these were
him,
corrupt
but it
intentions
doesn't
if
mean
Trump
he
thought
believed
he was doing the
them.
righteous thing? You can't. It was just politics. It's all politics. He was pushing it as far as he could, and maybe he pushed it a little too far. But should he die in prison for that? I don't think the Biden administration realizes what it's done here. It's going to give Donald Trump the opportunity to relitigate the 2020 election in federal court.
That's the one.
This is what Donald Trump's been dying to do for the last 2.5 years.
That's what he wants
He's going to
to
have subpoena
do.
power. He's going to cross-examine witnesses. He's going to put on his own witnesses.
Now, here's the problem. With this judge that they have in the D.C. circuit, she could rule that they're not allowed to litigate the 2020 election. She could try to rule that. The Trump lawyers are going to argue vigorously that, well, the idea that you're claiming he knew that, he was lying. We have a lot of evidence that he believed, and we can prove it. But she can deny that type of evidence, and I'm sure the Justice Department, Jack Smith, etc., they're damn well gonna try to exclude anything that has to do with actual election results. So as much as Jesse Waters says, well, he's going to be able to relitigate the 2020 election, maybe. But if she doesn't allow it, that's going to make this more appealable, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court probably anyway if he gets convicted. So here we go.
He's going to go out and prove or try to prove there was election fraud in Philly, Vegas, Arizona, Detroit. And the federal government is going to have to prove that it was clean in those deep blue counties. That's going to be a fun one to follow. So Trump's due in court on Thursday for the January 6th charges. So in case you're keeping score at home, Donald Trump will be on trial in 3 different courtrooms next year, an election year, while he's running for president, while he's fundraising.
Okay, that's all I wanted to show you about what Jesse Waters had to say. I'm going to move on to the next one because I said it in several videos. This was happening on CNN. Now, I don't know who the Trump attorney is, but is Caitlin Collins. She was really trying hard to push the idea that, Trump lied and that you can prosecute him for lying. Okay, here, listen to this.
Legislators that you just mentioned there in the courts.
Right. What was not true? That there were states where ballots were sent out without people asking for them, where there were changes in verification, where there were instances where ballots were not being supervised at drop-off places. The president was told, given advice, that under these circumstances, the state legislatures have the ultimate ability to qualify electors. He followed that advice. Now, you may disagree as to whether or not those things actually occurred or not. That's why we have political debate.
And that's why Jack Smith is also charging the attorneys in this. Now, that's going to be a tough one, especially on appeal, because he was getting legal advice from these attorneys. He's saying that because he got legal advice from his attorneys, that's conspiracy. No, he got legal advice from his attorneys. But that's part of the conspiracy, right? Anyway.
We don't have criminal trials over that. We have the discussion like we're just having.
But it matters if those things actually occurred or not, John.
Not under the First Amendment.
But it matters if those things actually occurred because...
Not at all, because under the First Amendment...
It does matter if there was actually fraud.
No, the First Amendment allows...
But John, let me stop you there, because if he's saying that there was fraud, the First Amendment doesn't allow the President of the United States to go and claim there was fraud when he was told there was not fraud and then try to subvert the election by overturning...
Again, she's saying just because someone told you something that you believed it, well, maybe he didn't believe what they were telling him. Not all of his advisors were saying the same thing. Bill Barr said he didn't believe it. The other one said they did. But how are you going to say that he well, someone told him, so he certainly had to believe it. Nah, not so fast. Not necessarily.
Turning legitimate electors. I mean, it says it right here in the
speech.
actual indictment.
Absolutely. The First Amendment protects all speech. If we're going to have a situation where the Department of Justice is going to fact check politicians and indict
there will be no politicians left.
Political speech and whether or not they're factually accurate, then this country will shut down politically, because it's a never-ending cycle of tit for tat, and that's the risk of injecting politics into the criminal justice system.
Ding.
So right now people disagree with President Trump. What's going to happen 4 years from now if somebody disagrees with President Biden in terms of what he said during the election? That's why we don't criminalize political speech. Political speech under the First Amendment has an almost absolute protection.
Not just political
Nobody
speech,
gets
but
to judge whether it's true or not, except the American people. And we do that in an election. We do that in an election. We do that in the case of a president by impeachment, but we don't indict people.
John.
Okay, so anyway, so that's that one. We're gonna move on. We got a couple more to see here. This one, is this Adam Schiff? Oh. Okay. Allow me to apologize, because I know this is going to be torture. And if, for example, if you could indict people for lying, Adam Schiff would have gotten the death penalty by now. But anyway, here's Adam Schiff's take on it. We'll just watch a little bit of this, because I can't stand listening to this prick.
Washington, D.C., and this time on the most serious charges
to date. Most serious charges.
Let me break down the new indictment. This indictment is 45 pages long. It has 4 charges against the president.
Oh, he's so happy.
1 is conspiracy to defraud the United States.
He's
Count 2
jerking
is conspiracy
off down there underneath
to
the
obstruct
screen.
an official proceeding. That would have been the joint session on January 6th, where the votes are formally counted. Count 3 is obstruction of or an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. That's the actual obstruction. And count 4 is conspiracy against rights. That means conspiring to deprive people of their votes.
Well, wait a minute. But we've been depriving other people of their votes. It's if you're saying that one side isn't deprived, but then the other side is, I don't know. He's going to go through it.
Basically, this 45-page indictment goes through a set of facts,
written by the
most of which
January
are known
6th
to the
committee
country because they were revealed during the January 6th committee investigation.
But you didn't reveal any countervailing information, did you? Did you even have anyone on the committee who presented any countervailing information, exculpatory information, whatever? No, you didn't. You had an entire committee committed to shitting on Donald Trump. No, we didn't get that, whatever.
But it breaks down the president's actions in this way. First, it says he lost the election and he knew he lost the election.
And again, there it is. They keep saying that he knew, okay, when in fact he was fighting in 6 states because he didn't think he didn't believe he lost the election. To this day, he doesn't believe he lost it. And to this day, whether it was election fraud or just the fact that the entire media complex basically lied to have Joe Biden win. Hunter Biden laptop. That 51. When are they? Okay, here's one. When are they going to indict the 51 former intelligence officials who signed on to the letter stating that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation? When are they going to indict those guys? Huh? Just curious.
And he knew he lost the election because his own top Justice Department people told him he lost it, because his campaign attorneys told him he lost it, because state officials told him he lost it. He understood he lost the election, but nonetheless.
Okay, so they're reading his mind. I'm not going to listen to him anymore. I can't. He takes too long on this. But they're reading his mind, saying he knew he lost it. Well, then why was he still fighting it in courts? Why was he still finding evidence? And that's exactly what he's going to do in this trial. Now, if the judge allows it. And Robert Reich. Oh my God, he's appropriately named. Now, here's something interesting Robert Reich is saying. Okay, and if you're familiar with Robert Reich, he's former Clinton advisor and whatever, former Treasury Secretary, I think. But he's just this out there leftist prick, and he's a short little fucker too. But I want to, just the beginning of this is what I want to show you, because listen to Robert Reich. Now remember, so far, this is just the indictment. Haven't been to court, haven't had any discovery, hadn't have any testimony, haven't had anyone, no verdict, certainly no verdict. And also, there's something missing in what Robert Reich is saying here. Let's listen to him.
Donald Trump should not be allowed on the ballot.
Whoa, hold up. Should not be allowed on the ballot? On what basis, Robert?
Section 3 of the 14th Amendment prohibits anyone who has held public office and taken an oath to protect the Constitution from holding office again if they, quote, have engaged in insurrection.
Whoa, wait a minute. Robert, what are you talking about? Engaged in insurrection? On what basis are you making that claim? In fact, this indictment doesn't even say so, but let's go on.
Against the United States. This key provision was enacted after the Civil War to prevent those who rose up against our democracy.
Now, what's interesting, that's, in a way, historically inaccurate. The southern states seceded from the Union, and the the United States government said you can't do that. That's interesting. I've never thought of that till just now. But, they brought the Union back together. Whatever.
From ever being allowed to hold office again.
But
this
wait a minute.
To Donald Trump.
How does it apply to Donald Trump? We don't have a ruling that he's engaged in insurrection. There's not a single court that's ruled it. Now, by the way, there is a single case in New Mexico. One person who was at the January 6th, riots, whatever, the demonstration riots. One federal court, and it's a guy who never entered the U.S. Capitol building and was proven to never have engaged in any violence. But he was on the Capitol grounds inside where the perimeters were breached. So he was on the Capitol grounds. But he never went inside, never engaged in any violence. But the Justice Department charged him with the trespassing charge on Capitol grounds and with some violence charges. Now, the violence charges he was acquitted of, but the misdemeanor charge of being on the Capitol grounds was upheld. So he had this misdemeanor conviction. In the state of New Mexico, a judge ruled that because he was convicted of that trespassing charge, that he engaged in insurrection, and he was a county commissioner. And because of that trespassing charge, they said he was engaged, the judge said he was engaged in insurrection and could no longer hold any office in the United States. Now, that's interesting because no other case on January 6th, even the conspiracy of something that the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers got charged with and convicted of, no other judge has used the word insurrection except for that one case in New Mexico where they removed this guy from his county commissioner office and said he could no longer run for any office because he was engaged in insurrection. Now, it's an obscure case, right? But it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to be used against Donald Trump if he's convicted of any of these charges. Because none of these charges carry an insurrection charge, right? But because someone was convicted in relation to January 6th, now they have one judge who said it was an insurrection on the books. Now, I think that person in New Mexico should appeal it because that's bullshit. He was a trespassing charge, whatever. But that's and that's where Robert Reich here. Robert Reich is doing it before Donald Trump has even been convicted of anything.
He cannot again be entrusted with public office.
I'm sorry. I got to listen to this line after he says this.
Again, this applies to Donald Trump. He cannot again be entrusted with public office. He led an insurrection. He refused.
He led an insurrection. Robert. He led an insurrection? Really? How so? How did he lead an insurrection?
To concede the results of the 2020 election, claiming it was stolen.
Okay, is that okay? He didn't concede the results, claiming it was stolen. Okay, is that okay? Is that opinion? Is that what? Is that an? Oh my God, what does that mean?
Even when many in his own inner circle, including his own attorney general, told him it was not.
I told him that the stuff that is
okay. Did he have to believe Bill Barr, who had been leading him astray on a couple other things? And we're still worried about Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know what's going on there. So is he required to believe Bill Barr? That's where they're going to have trouble here.
People were shoveling out to the public was bullshit. I mean, that the claims of fraud were bullshit.
Trump then pushed state officials to change vote counts.
Oh, did he? I don't recall that one. Pushed them to change vote counts? You mean to ask them to recount in their states? And just asking, that whole bullshit with Georgia, right? Or, well, you need to find 11,000 votes. That's, if you listen to the whole transcript, he was saying that, that's all that need to be. That's the difference. It's 11,000 count difference. He didn't mean go manufacture 11,000 votes. He said recount because there's this small of a difference. Holy shit.
A plot to name fake electors tried to pressure his vice
president. Oh, like 1976?
Into refusing to certify the electoral.
You mean hold off until they can go back to send it back to the states to make sure? Like in 1876?
College votes had his allies seek access to voting machine data.
Oh my God, they seeked us out access to voting machine data. You mean they wanted to recount the votes? Oh my God. Call the police. All right. You get the idea. It goes on and on. He's demagoguery fulfilled. I'm going to skip the other two because I'm running out of time. But Maddow, if you want to watch Maddow's reaction, oh, she's in. Never mind. I'm going to say something really gross. And then also Seb Gorka has his opinion here. I don't have time to watch these. Also, finally, too, if you want to remember this, back in the 2016 election, there was actually a push by a couple different groups that said, despite the fact that Donald Trump won the election, the Electoral College, whatever, the way we do our elections in the United States of America, there were groups who were pushing for the Electoral College to change their votes against Donald Trump. Anyone remember this one?
Republican members of the Electoral College, this message is for you. As you know, our founding fathers built the Electoral College to safeguard the American people from the dangers of a demagogue.
Did they? Is that what they built the Electoral College for? Or did they build the Electoral College so that some states wouldn't run roughshod over other states in a democracy? We have a constitutional republic. That's why. Anyway.
To ensure that the president...
Oh, and also because the federal government shouldn't be all that powerful anyway, but somehow here we are.
Presidency only goes to someone who is to an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications.
An eminent degree.
See,
someone who is
these
highly
people wanted
qualified for the job.
Electoral College to
the
overturn
Electoral College was created specifically to prevent
the election.
An unfit candidate from becoming president.
They hated Donald Trump.
There are 538 members of the Electoral College. You
and just 36 other conscientious Republican electors can make a difference.
Yes,
by voting your conscience on December 19th.
Is Jack Smith going to come after these actors?
I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yes, you are.
I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton.
I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yes, hi, Moby.
The Constitution gives
oh my gosh, it's Spike Farrell from MASH.
Any eligible person, no matter which party they belong to.
Oh, but it should certainly be someone you consider especially competent.
Especially competent.
Oh, Loretta Swit looks terrible.
As President of the United States of America.
But she's old. It's okay.
By voting your conscience.
At least she doesn't have a lot of plastic surgery. I hate it when like the 80, 90-year-old women in Hollywood are all plastic surgeryed up, looking like Phyllis Diller and shit. Or not Phyllis Diller. Who was it? It was Joan Rivers. She fucked up her face, man. She just stayed natural. She's a nice, she was a comedian. She didn't have to look whatever she tried to do. Anyway.
You and other brave Republican electors.
They were asking electors to change their vote
to select a qualified candidate for the presidency.
I stand with you.
They're so salty that Donald Trump won.
In support and solidarity with conservatives, independents, and liberals.
No, you don't.
All citizens of the United States.
You don't care.
The American people trust that your voice speaks for us all.
What about our democracy? You were arguing against our democracy.
And that you will make yourself heard through the constitutional responsibility granted to you by Alexander Hamilton himself.
Oh, see, she went and saw Hamilton and she thought, oh my God, I didn't even know Alexander Hamilton was like a Hispanic or a black guy or whatever. I didn't know that all these founding fathers were some brothers and sisters out there. I had no idea. So now I know who Alexander Hamilton's name is because I didn't learn that in school. I didn't pay attention to that in history class.
What is evident is that Donald Trump lacks more than the qualifications to be president.
Oh, does he now? Well, he did pretty good when he was in the office, didn't he?
He lacks the necessary stability.
And clearly the respect for the Constitution.
We were in 17 wars when Donald Trump was president. Of course, that's the
authority
I have hindsight
and the opportunity to go down in the books as an American hero.
Who changed.
These people literally wanted you to change their votes in the Electoral College. It's amazing, isn't it? Let's see. Do I have one more? What was the last one? Oh, that's something else. There was a statement too. Let's see if I can find it real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. By the way, real quick, I think I have a couple more thank yous to do here. Let's see. What happened? What happened to my notifications? There we go. Thanks, Somnambule Nation, for tweeting out the show. And there's a bunch, all these people liking this. I have no idea who these people are. There's a statement by, what's the dude? He was the security advisor. What the fuck's his name? Hang on a second. I think I've got my bookmarks. Let me see if I can find John Bolton. We're gonna finish with John Bolton if I bookmarked it. I hope I did. Oh no, did I not do it? Here it is. I'm gonna finish with this statement by John Bolton, and this is gonna. There's a lot. There's something in this statement that tells you a lot. Okay. John Bolton, who I just think is a shitbag anyway. I don't know why Trump ever even brought him in. As soon as Trump brought him in, I'm like, Donald Trump. I am questioning your judgment on this one. He says the federal indictment against Donald Trump unsealed this afternoon is stunning and persuasive. Really? I don't know about that. But there should be no celebrating. This is a dark day for our country. An elected president, while in office, is alleged to have violated his sworn constitutional obligations. But it will be even darker if Trump can postpone the trial of these charges until after November 2024. What? It would be more, it'll be even darker if Trump can postpone the trial until after November 2024 election, right? Now listen to this next sentence, because this tells you a lot where I don't want to call it deep state establishment, whatever, the powers that the status quo powers that be are. Listen to this sentence. He complains the charges should have been filed long ago, and if he were innocent, he would want a speedy trial. Without that, or if he is acquitted, he may be elected president again. What? Listen to that again. If he were innocent, he would want a speedy trial. Really? What if he thinks he'd be railroaded at a speedy trial? Okay. But without a speedy trial, or if he's acquitted, he may be elected president again. Well, wait a minute. Hold on, John Bolton. If he's acquitted and then elected president, what's wrong with that? If he's acquitted and elected president, that means the peers and the jury said this is bullshit. So this just tells me that John Bolton doesn't give a flying fig about these charges. They just don't want him to be president again. These charges are just to keep him out of the election. And in 2024, he's going to be fighting off 3, maybe 4 different have 4 different trials in the same year during an election year, because all these people are out to keep him from being elected. That is the only goal behind these charges. The indictment is bullshit. Jack Smith knows it. Jack Smith's already got blown the F out on another time he charged a politician for something they said. And so FTG Jack Smith and all the people, it's not because I'm a Trump guy, but this is crazy. This is crazy. All right. And on that note, I got to go. Thanks, everyone, for joining me today. If you haven't hit the like button yet, many of you have not hit it yet. Hit the like button before you go. Share the stream. And you can sponsor the show 24 hours a day at pdognight.live, because I'm about to go under the knife and I won't be able to do anything else but this show. So feel free to drop a deuce in the tip jar at some point in the day. Thank you to our sponsors today, Natasha Kayleen, Jimmy Das Hotep, and John Arnott, and Ty Alexander. Jimmy Jimmy.Sotep, you are the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Gotta go. My name is P Dog Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.